You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com. And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Mark the Greasy Meatball Sebastian and Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back. It is Monday. Time to kick off another broadcast week on the old Options Insider Radio Network. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope you're rested, charged up, and ready to go for yet another slew of options content coming at you throughout the week. Usually 2 to 3 shows hitting you a day because there's no rest for the wicked and because we like you folks out there. Make sure you're getting it all. TheOptionsInsider.com is the place you can get every show. Of course, you can subscribe to the full network feed wherever you get your favorite podcast. It pops up on the old tubes as well if you prefer to get it that way. However you like to get it, make sure you're getting the full kit and caboodle. And of course, if you're ready to dive down the rabbit hole, theoptionsinsider.com is the place to go to learn more. As we learn who's joining us on the old program to kick off the week here, we are joined, as always on the Monday episode, by the uncleest of Mikes, Mr. Uncle Mike Tosaw, as well as by the rockingest of lobsters, Mr. Andrew Giovinazzi from OptionPit.com. I introduce them now, listeners, because they are getting ready. They are in the prep corner. They are getting oiled up. They have their towels ready to go, their robes, because it is time for the grudge match of the ages. It is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right, as usual, there will be no audible buzzes. It's all got to be in the chat. All right, the card has been drawn. You see it here in my hands. I have gone through it really quickly just to make sure it is not a yet another wrist wrestling card. That just refuses to go away. But there is no wrist wrestling to be seen here. All right, Uncle Mike, as our resident non-winner, what category is catching your fancy this week?
Well, since I've been kind of shafted with the sports and leisure stuff, I think I'm going to take my lumps. We're going to try and do entertainment.
Ooh, going back to entertainment. All right. This is an interesting one. Who said it's not the men in my life, it's the life in my men? I think I know the answer to that one. Ooh, I was right. Oh, wait. Uncle Mike buzzed first. I see him in there first. Go ahead, Uncle Mike.
Oh, all right.
I don't know this. I'm just going to guess it. Marilyn Monroe.
Not a bad guess. It's along those lines, I would say. Somehow I got this one right. That surprises me. But this is kind of a famous quote. Mr. Rock Lobster, as someone from previous generations, this might be more.
I know. And her name is escaping me, which is killing me. Hold it. It's not Zsa Zsa Gabor, right?
No, it's not Zsa Zsa Gabor. But again, it's along those lines. You guys are thinking the right way. Blonde and sultry.
Yeah, I know, and I can picture her face, and I cannot think of her
Farrah Fawcett?
name.
That's a little too late. It's Mae West.
Mae
Old
West.
school.
That's what I was.
You got to be. I don't know why I knew that one, but that quote has always, I guess, resonated to me.
That's a total Mae West. I just could not think of it. Anyway.
All right, Mr. Rock Lobster, for a half point, you get to choose the category. Where are we going next?
Why don't we? There's a history one, right?
Yes, there is.
Let's do history.
All right. Who advised listeners to, quote, see the USA in your Chevrolet? And we'll say it's not who I guessed.
I'm gonna say I'll just hit Buzz.
Okay, good.
I'm just gonna say Ed Sullivan on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh, interesting guess, but no. Uncle Mike, can you steal for half a point?
I will go with see the USA in your Chevrolet. Nah, I don't have anything.
Dinah Shore. So two old school entertainment ladies come into play this week. Wow. Once again, no points for Mae West or Dinah Shore. I love how our 80s trivia challenge is anything but the 80s. It's like 50s and all sorts of fun. But that's what we want. You wanted the blue box. That's what the blue box has as we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the trading block.
All right, listeners, welcome to the trading block, the portion of the show where we talk about what's trading. Did you get either of those? Did you get either of those ladies, listeners? I definitely would have got the point for Mae West. The other one, probably not. Who sang that ditty back in whatever it was, the 50s, or maybe even earlier? That was a fun one. I see our chat talking. They were guessing Rudy Garland, all kind of stuff. By the way, Mr. Unlimited, you were talking a lot of smack last week. And let me just say, I do my talking on the gridiron. And right now, my Options Insider squad is, shall we say, whooping your talks. So maybe we need to have some punishments midweek for people who talk smack and then can't deliver, can't bring the heat, is all I'm saying. Let's see if this market is bringing the heat. And if you're Uncle Mike, the answer is yes. We're looking firmly in the green out of the gate this week. Even though we got the Fed coming up this week, you think we'd be hitting the pause button on a lot of stuff. But you know what? You can't stop the bull at the end of the day, unless you're the Dow. The Dow doesn't give a crap. The Dow is unched. But the S&P is up about 0.4%, hanging out a little bit north of 6,600 right now. The NASDAQ up about 0.8%. So once again, the NASDAQ saying, hold my beer, everybody else. Let me show you what we can do. And our old pal VIX Cash continuing to get frosty. 15.5 when we kicked off the show, up about 0.75 points. Up to about 15.65 now, so ticking up a little bit more as we did our little trivia challenge there. So that actually puts it up about almost a full point, about 0.9 points from where it was on the Thursday show. So getting a little juicier, a little bit spicier. You know, I was talking with the meatball about maybe is it time. I was feeling like override time. He was feeling like override time in SVIX. So we did do that on oddities. Looks like it was good timing on that front because looks like VIX, at least for right now, feeling a little spicy, feeling a little froggy out there. Will that last? Will Vol get annihilated post-Fed? I guess we shall find out there, listeners. A VVIX at a 97. Will Fed throw a complete curveball, jack up rates, 0.5 point? We were debating that on Vol Views as well. What would that look like if they said psych to everybody and just said raise? At the very least, not cut, but if they raise, my goodness, what a... that would be, I think, an apocalyptic day for the market. 97 on the VVIX front. That puts it unched. If we continue to get frosty, though, that may change. It may continue to tick up. We may be at the par level or above later on in the show. We'll come back and check it again, of course, by the end of the show. But a lot to unpack there. We'll start with the rockingest of lobsters. Do you have any enduring memories of the iconic Mae West? Was Mae West in black and white the pinup girl on your wall when you were a young lad, Mr. Rock Lobster?
That might have been even before my time. I think she might have been the pinup in the 30s, possibly.
She was your granddad's pinup.
Yeah, the granddad's pinup.
They were painting her on the bombers in World War II.
Yeah, exactly. I know, like anything associated with diamonds, I'd go Marilyn Monroe, but anything associated with just guys like, being guys is more made West. As I would.
She loved the life in her men.
I could not remember her name for the life of me. Anyway, you know what? Yeah, the Fed. And the Fed. Here's another thing that I still find odd. Didn't the Fed do an emergency rate cut last year, before the election?
I was going to say last week. Did I miss it?
No, before that. Like, why? Okay, why did they do that?
Is that the only thing you find odd about these markets? I could list quite a few things I find odd about this market right now.
I remember, okay, so now, but to be honest, I don't think inflation is lower than it was last year. Like I said, the market loves these rate cuts, and it does appear, at least from the headline, you can't tell because you don't know the BLS. They redid data from the last 2 years or last year. I don't even know what. You got one job is to count jobs, and they still don't do it very well, apparently. So at least now, like, okay, they're saying a little slowdown. Maybe they're trying to get ahead of something instead of, I could swear, but the only time the Fed, I think, was on it at all was during the COVID, like right at the beginning of the COVID, when they basically, when they increased liquidity. I thought that was beneficial. And then it was clear 6 months in, whatever, even 3 months in, that we weren't all going to die. And they left. Nothing was changed with rates. And now inflation blows up, and they're like, there's no inflation. Then inflation has run away. They got to jack rates. Everybody's hosed holding bonds. Then they got to bail out the small banks, right? Remember Silicon Valley Bank in 2023?
Seems like a lifetime ago, sir.
It does, right? So because all of a sudden these banks are now holding bonds they were forced to buy. So the Fed being omniscient, I'm not buying that. They're still run by humans, so that you can have plenty of mistakes there. But now we're sitting at a point where the economy is probably slowing down, but Congress keeps spending money, which in itself, as Milton Friedman said, and I believe got a Nobel Prize for, it is still an inflationary action. So, I could see them doing 25 basis points. 50 would probably launch stocks into the stratosphere again, inflating asset prices. If they say, you know what, we're not cutting it all, it's premature. I would guess SPX is probably down 200 points in one day, at least, probably 6,300. Or
they got to at least give back all those ridiculous rallies we've had over the last few weeks, right?
Since August 1, we were at 6,200.
Yeah, got to at least go back to that.
I believe we would go back to there. So, SPY is only pricing what, $7.50 till Friday. So it's one of those things where I think the market is underpricing this to a large degree. I think they are going to cut. There'll probably be a little bit of, sell the news. And then I think you keep rallying, because if they do cut, you see stuff like Elon Musk. Hey, I'm going to buy $1 billion worth of Tesla. You know what's funny about this? And I had to think about it for a little bit. Elon Musk buying $1 billion worth of Tesla is nothing. He's got his net worth is $390 billion.
It's a complete nothing. But look what he gets as he should do this every week. Look at the return he's getting on his stock.
I know, he buys $1 billion and he makes another 100.
Yeah,
so
it's absurd all day long.
You can't do those trades very often. And again, on the back of this Oracle, I guess here's another thing. I don't know where OpenAI, Oracle's had huge bookings, right? Some huge booking, which blew the whole top out of the AI numbers. I'm just wondering where that money comes from. Where that OpenAI or whoever's buying all the Oracle stuff, where that all comes from. Anyway, these are questions that I'm still trying to figure out. But these are mostly things that bull markets are made of. Low realized vol. hyper growth. This is all good stuff. I'm not trying to be gloom and doomy at all, but I would like to see Congress do their job. You got 400 people. They just argue about how to make a budget, and they can't do it. So anyway, and I don't think the Fed has done much from their end to press them to spend less. I think they could do a better job. Anyway, that's how I see it. But AI is still punching every ticket on the upside, and that's it. But Musk buying $1 billion worth is pretty funny. I'm like, wow, $1 billion, and I realize that's like nothing for him.
We joke about, MicroStrategy or whatever being the perpetual money machine, but Musk just announce every week, $1 billion worth of stock. There you go. I just made whatever, 10 billion on my holdings. 10 for one. You do that. You could do that every week. Just keep printing money.
He's like, hold my beer. Hold my beer.
That's his version of the magical letters of AI.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, it's not even 1%. It's 0.25% of his assets. Tesla.
Yeah, what a commitment. Ooh, impressive.
All right. Well, and plus, I guess and then they also merged AI and X. Gosh knows what that's worth now.
That's the stuff that concerns me. All this behind the scenes shenanigans of merging all these different entities. Twitter all of a sudden consumes these things at these ridiculous valuations, and they're just shuffling the decks behind the scenes. These assets that don't perform just get consumed by these other ones at absurd valuations, and the whole thing is just, it does seem like it's a bit of a shell game going on back there, but that's a conversation.
And I remember that's when I thought, on the .com boom, when I thought the smartest guy was the guy that sold AOL, or he bought Time Warner with AOL.
Yeah.
So he took, basically AOL was 99% funny money at the time. They had a $100 billion valuation, which 25 years ago was huge, right? 97 or 98, huge. So he took all that, and he actually got a real asset, which was Time Warner, which the revenues were 10, 20 times what AOL's were at the time. And I think Time Warner just got, shareholders just got stock. And what's funny is Time Warner has been sold, 4 or 5 times? The last time it's just been this Discovery being broken up, and now Skydance is going to
that's the whole Mark Cuban claim to fame. He took his broadcast.com funny money, and he traded it in, but they actually bought puts. That was the one guy who bought puts on the crappy underlying that he got, so he ended up keeping his money. See, listeners,
it all comes his Yahoo stuff.
Yes, it all comes back to the magic of puts and options at the end of the day. Let's get out there to Uncle Mike, who I know had a Mae West print on his wall. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what are your thoughts on just the magical powers of options, and what is catching your eye in the markets today?
Well, I didn't get Mae West, so I can't take credit for having a pinup poster on my wall of Mae West growing up. But nonetheless, there is lots of magic in put options. In a lot of ways, probably the most magical financial instrument in existence, and the reason we all have jobs when you think about it. So definitely a lot of magic. And I mean, the market seems to think that, as Andrew was saying, if the S&P is thinking 70 points by Friday in some way, shape, or form, then the market's predicting a resounding meh for the Fed announcement this week. No question on that. But we'll see. We will see for sure. The other interesting thing is that not only if for some reason we were to raise rates or just pause, not only would stocks decline, I would see something like silver and gold declining too, because they have definitely been a tear lately. As kind of, in my opinion, they seem to be acting as the inflation hedge with which they once were. So that seems to be another thing that's happening. Mortgage rates are lower right now as well. And so if you are looking to lock your mortgage rate and you're looking to refi, that is something to think about going into the Fed announcement, because stuff can change. And if interest rates go higher, if mortgage rates go higher because the Fed doesn't move, and then all of a sudden we have a big bond sell-off or whatever the case, and that causes mortgage rates to increase, that's another aspect of your financial plan you may want to look into. I think that if you are looking to refi, because rates have come down, then it's something you may want to consider taking a look at today or tomorrow, because different things can happen once the Fed comes out. And then you guys were talking about Tesla. That's up over 5% on the day. Pre-market, it was up actually almost 8%. So Tesla has been on a tear, that's for sure. Google's up 3.5% on the day. So we're definitely getting some rallies in the exciting stocks, if you will. In terms of the sectors, consumer discretionaries, they're the ones that are leading the charge today. Up over, just looking at XLY, they're up over 1% on the day. XLK is up 0.5% on the day. And then, of course, we have healthcare, consumer staples, and energy. Well, energy is only down slightly, but those are the ones that are down on the day that are stopping this market from going up really, 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 really high like it wants to. So we'll see where we go. And definitely I'm going to be watching the Fed with bated breath come Wednesday. That is for sure.
I think that is an understatement these days. We were hoping we were getting into a post-Fed market, and then just when we thought we were out, the Fed pulls us all back in. So yes, we will all be watching on Wednesday. It usually pops off during options boot camp. So it's always interesting to see what's popping off out there during the show. Let's see what's popping off in these markets, shall we? And normally you'd think Monday heading into a Fed week, man, this would be a snooze fest. And yet the answer is no. We got ourselves a bit of a banger out of the gate, listeners. So strap in. We got some numbers to talk about here. Let's start in VIX land. When's the last time? And we had it close to 1 million one time last week about this time. And we're getting close to that territory again. Nearly 800,000 contracts on the tape already for VIX. 795. That's already pretty much more than every other day last week. I think with the exception of one. We were over 1 million contracts one day last week. Every other day last week kind of struggling. We had one day, I remember, I think it was Thursday, we had 500,000 contracts by this time on the show on the option block, and then nothing else the rest of the day. So hot day today, nearly 800,000. Can we hit 1 million today, or is it going to peter out the second half? I guess we'll find out. The ADV is back up to about 870. So again, didn't take long to shake off those dog days of summer, at least from a volume perspective, and get right back to business. 900,000 contracts a day nearly in VIX land. You know you're in somewhat spicy territory out there, which is, again, kind of interesting. Speaking of spicy, the hot option in VIX land today, 93,000 of the 15 half puts, October 15 half puts. That's all opening paper. So we've been talking for a long time about the 15 puts. Now let me turn your attention to the October 15 half puts. If you're wondering, average price of around 46 cents for those bad boys. So up to you whether you think that's a good do or not. We got our old friends, I should say, our old pal, the SEP 15 puts that we've talked about for a while, listeners, coming in about 47,000 times today for number 2. Obviously, there's OI there, so it could be closing. Average price of about 15 cents for those. So 15s for the 15s. Again, those go the way of the dodo the day of the Fed announcement. So if you think you're buying those, hoping to get the Fed vol crush, not so fast. So just something to bear in mind on those. You need that to happen today or tomorrow, and it doesn't look like today is your huckleberry. Let's just do the top 5 really quickly. Number 3, 40,000 of the October 19 puts. Those are trading for about 272. I do believe that is a vertical put spread there. Number 4, 35,000 of the SEP 15 half puts. And number 5, 30,000 of our old pal, the October 15 puts. Maybe that'll be a fun little flash poll we can put up for later in the show. Let's go out to SPY right now. SPY also looking hot out of the gate. Nearly 5 million contracts already, 4.9 million. So SPY not messing about. The ADV, 7.85 million out there for SPY. The S, same deal, 2.5 million. So roaring out of the gate. Usually we're about 750,000, if not more, below that right now this time of the show. The ADV, just a tick under 4, so probably going to hit that today. Small caps, kind of the weird laggard out there today. Small caps not really bringing the heat. They're up about 0.25% today, only putting up 670,000. Now, that said, that is about almost exactly halfway to its ADV, so it's kind of about where we expect now, but it just, everything else is so hot out of the gate, it seems low by comparison. And then the Qs, 2.4 million already, the ADV about 4.1, almost 4.2 million, so seems like it's on pace to hit that. And then not to be outdone, listeners, we got a banger day on single names again. Just hot stuff across the board today. Again, I was not expecting that coming into the start of the show today, but it's certainly good to see just some numbers out of the gate. Again, usually Fed week, people are keeping their powder dry till Wednesday. Not this week. Number 10, our old pal Oracle. This one, what a roller coaster ride you've been on if you've been slinging Oracle over the last week. We had, a nigh on 100 handle rally intraday on it after its crazy earnings announcement, closing up about 80 odd handles. And even if you've been listening to our newest show, listeners, the Hot Options Report, you knew people were fading the hell out of that to begin with, because the par puts, the 300 puts, the day of that big rally, that was the number one trade for size in Oracle. I think at the time when it closed around 330, 335, they were still trading for about $1.12 or so. And we said at the time on that show, that seems maybe kind of rich, but if you're thinking this rally is way overdone, then that's a deal. And that turned out to be the case. They closed somewhere in the ballpark of $8, I believe. The stock going out somewhere around 292, I believe. So absolutely wild stuff after rallying all the way to nearly 350, giving over 50 handles of that back to the market gods. Absolutely wild stuff. I say all that because number 10 today is Oracle, and we're at 401,000 contracts. When's the last time we were kicking things off at 400K? Again, kind of a sneaky hot day out there today, listeners. Oracle leading the charge back to, must have heard our show. It's back to $300, 300 exactly, actually, up about $8 right now. So they wanted those puts to not pay off, just they did it a day late. So yeah, if you were one of those ones when we first started talking, I think it was Wednesday, if you got in on those par puts, I mean, it seemed kind of rich, but we said, hey, if you think this thing can sustain this, maybe that's your huckleberry. And they worked out like gangbusters, 7, 8X on those bad boys. So not a bad do. As the kids say, number 10, Oracle, hot out of the gate, 401,000 contracts. Number 9, you know it's a spicy day when Palantir is all the way at number 9. What could top it? Let's find out. Palantir, 170 and about 40 off about $1. Actually, just ticked, 170 and a quarter off about $1.15 today. So another interesting day. They've sold off about 167 and a half. So you know this dance by now with Palantir. They sell off and then they rally. Number 9, 421 on the tape for Palantir. Number 8, our old pal SoFi, bucking the trend, rallying right now, up about $1, trading 27.60. This one's been on a tear so far this year. Year to date, it's up. It's nearly doubled, up 95%. Good run for SoFi. Number 8, 444 on the tape. Number 7, out to my old stomping grounds. This one, such a binary name. It's hot or it's not. There's no middle ground with this one. And today is looking a little hot again. It's Intel, up about 70 cents, or about 3%, trading 24 3/4. Intel, number 7, 486. You know the name we all own collectively 10% of now. So there we go. Intel goes to Washington and they come away with all of us owning 10%. Number 6, it's the Amazonians, 231.30, up about 315, or almost 1.5% today for them. Number 6, the Amazonians, like we said, 518 on the tape. So number 6, we're already north of 500,000 contracts. That's nothing to sneeze at. Number 5, keeping it in the A-Tech. It's the Fruit Company. 540 for this bad boy on the tape today. Trading 235 3/4, up about $1.65 for them today. This one's been a wild one as well. They kind of came for it last week after the announcement. They crushed it down to about 226. Since then, they've kind of managed to rally it back and back up to about 235 right now, which I think is right about where it was right before. Yeah, actually, it was almost 240 right before the big announcement. So managing to rally it back. So if you maintain the Apple faith, then I guess you're being rewarded right now. Number 5, 540 on the tape for the Fruit Company. Number 4, it's another A-Tech, but not in the ticker. It's Alphabet. Ticker symbol, Google, of course. 619 on the tape for them. 249 about is where they're trading right now, up a little over $8, or about almost 3.5%. So a good little day for them out there in Alphabet. They've been sneaking onto our Hot Options Report a lot lately. So Alphabet, kind of a stealth hot player. Of course, they had that big court case recently, and ever since then, they've kind of been contenders on our top 10 again, which is kind of interesting. Number 3, speaking of contenders, and my God, what this name has been up to. We could do case studies on, I'm sure people are. It's number 3. It's Open. This one kind of broke into the top 10 pretty much the day we launched the Hot Options Report and has not gone away since. Open, number 3 today, 859,000 contracts, $9.50, rallying another 40 cents today. This thing up to nearly $11. I mean, it was $2.50 not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago. People were overriding the hell out of the 2 halves and very happy to get 25 cents to do it. Then we blew through the 3 strike, and they were selling those, and 3 halves and 4s, and you got the deal all the way up. 7 halves, selling those. And then people were buying the 7. We talked about that on the hot options report as well. When the stock was fading 6 halves, $6, we thought that's kind of wild. And then bam, 10, almost $11. Huge winners on those calls. Or if you sold them, you got run over. Just absolutely wild stuff. Today, $9.50. This is kind of the new standard bearer for the meme movement out there. Number 3, open. 8.59 on the tape. Absolutely wild stuff. Number 2, Nvidia, having the temerity to sell off on a green day. Nvidia, number 2, 1.5 million contracts. 177 and a third is where it's hanging out right now, off about not even half a buck, about 1/4%. So it's not exactly a earth-shaking day out there. They did sell it off to about 174 and a half. So exactly $3 below where it is right now. So at least coming into the show, it's been on a little bit of a rally. And then the big dog, we talked about it earlier, Tesla. This one, just rocket ship to the moon, up 21.5 bucks, another 5.5%. 417 and about a half is where it is. The last 5 days, it's up about 20% or 68 handles. Good time to be bullish Tesla. We've been saying for a while, they can't really seem to sell EVs anymore, but they're kind of offsetting that with other headlines. And Musk, to his credit, he gets it. He knows he needs other headlines. They think they drop 18% in sales in the EVs, so they offset that with a headline, hey, we're up 18% with our battery storage business. I think the EV one probably outstrips that, but it was enough to rally the stock last week. And then, of course, coming into this week, he's looking for a good headline. Hey, let's buy some stock. As the Rock Lobster pointed out, not really. It's kind of a de minimis purchase for him, but enough to pop the stock yet again. I'll have to go crunch the numbers, though. When the stock's up 5.5%, he's probably making more than $1 billion, I would wager. So you could do that trade all day long. Tesla, number 1, 2.41 million contracts on the tape. Earnings season coming to the tail end, bit of the dregs. Unless you're really hot for Dave & Buster's Cracker Barrel. You might be hot for that one. That one, all of a sudden, the darling of the meme kids. A lot of heat on social media out there for everyone's favorite good old Cracker Barrel. Apparently bowing to the whim of the crowd, keeping the old logo. They want the CEO to go. Thursday, the Meatballs' favorite, Darden Restaurants. So kind of coming the tail end, and who knows? If Trump has his way, maybe one of the last earnings seasons we'll have for a while. There is a push out there to bump earnings season from quarterly to every 6 months. And it'd be interesting. Might be a good topic for a question of the week, maybe next week. Our one's already live for this week. But what are your folks' thoughts on that? I think for options traders, we all like the little dust up that we get every quarter from earnings season. Do you want that to go away? Right now, 128% is how this cycle is looking. So you'll be missing out on a lot of opportunities for trading. So maybe selfishly from an options trader's perspective, not the best thing, but 128% for this cycle. That's against a long-term average of 119%. And you know what? We got all the data for you if you want to see it for yourself. TheOptionsInsider.com is the place for you to go as we keep on going right on into the Odd Block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by TheOptionsInsider.com. It's time for the Odd Block.
All right, everybody, let's get rolling. Our chat's talking about Larry Ellison, Oracle, being the richest man. Yeah, I think he was for a brief period. I'm not sure if he still is. That could be another reason why Musk decided to buy back some of his stock. Just bump him right past Ellison again on the list. Speaking of lists, let's go out and see what's lighting up our tape on the Odd Block this week. And man, our old pal, back again. We haven't talked about him in a while. Seemed like they were circling the drain. It's our old pal, the Wolf, a.k.a. Wolf Speed. What's the other one we had? Oh, ETHZilla. That was another ridiculous ticker we had not too long ago. But today we're going back to the progenitor of nonsense tickers, taking two great names, slapping them together to make a nonsense. Yes, it's Wolf Speed, ticker symbol Wolf, or as they call it around these parts, the Wolf. 284 today, up about half a buck, or nearly 21%. So apparently the Wolf is back. Or did the meme kids just discover it? I don't know. A lot more buyers than sellers, it seems like today. This appears to have corporate action written all over it, but I don't know. The bankruptcy court approved a restructuring plan, but that was last week. I don't know. The wolf. Either way, popping hard today. On the year, you know the deal. It's been a freaking dumpster fire is a technical term. Off 65% if we're being charitable from a year ago. If you go up to where it got high up to, all the way up to 17.5, then yeah, this thing is pretty much circling the bull. That said, it was literally circling the bull back in June, got down to 39 cents. So if you wanted the forever call on the wolf, you had it there for 39 cents. Just a few months ago out there. But what's lighting up the tape out there today in the wolf? Well, a lot. The wolf is looking spicy, as you might imagine, when it's popping pretty much almost 25% on the day. Just a wild day. 5 times its usual volume. Again, not surprising. And a lot of paper out there. Obviously, the 3/2s are lighting it up 25,000 times today. But what caught our eye is something entire. I think that's a 2 3/2 vertical, I think, going up. So in which case, looks like it's a bit of obviously rolling some house money up to the 3/2s. That's up about 25,000 times. That's the number one thing. But right behind it, listen, what caught our eye are these. The 2/2 puts expiring on October 24th. Going up 10,000 times for $1.65, pretty much lifting the offer on a pretty wide market, about $1.25 at $1.65. And then they came back and did another 8,000 pretty much through the offer for $1.66. Did a total of 22,000 on the day. So, Mr. Rock Lobster, this caught our eye. This is a meaty put. The stock is trading $2.65, and you are paying $1.65 to hedge this thing through the end of October, Mr. Rock Lobster. So a little over a month, about a month and a half. So these are what we would charitably call deeply cynical puts. Interesting stuff to see on a day when the stock is rallying hard. Mr. Rock Lobster, can you think of a scenario, obviously outside of it going the way of the dodo tomorrow, that you would be willing to pay $1.65 for puts when the stock is $2.65? And what do you think about these 2/2 puts, sir, in the wolf?
I'm looking at this and, well, I guess part of me always had trouble paying like 350 vol for something. Although, what is it? 350 vol is a 20% daily move, roughly. So for Wolf, that would only be 56 cents, like relative. So it could be a squeeze. Although I have to say, day one of their put purchase, this is the Oct 24th puts. Hold on. They are running even, but man, there is some volume in this thing today. There's like 100,000 contracts or more. Crazy volume. So I don't think it is, you have some potential to make some money on them, but man, it wouldn't be my first choice, because you're definitely looking at zero for the stock. I don't know what their alternative is, or maybe they were short. They had to cover a short and they rolled the puts. But yeah, I would say why, I'm even looking at the October 31 50 cent strike puts are trading for like a dime. So people still believe that the end is near for this stock. That's all you can say. Like, the end is near.
This person's buying the 2/2 puts for $1.65. Our chat's talking about the OC 1 puts trading nearly 40 cents. Yeah. They're saying they're juicy, Mr. Rock Lobster. They want to sell them. What's the worst that could happen?
The riches, right? People are looking for riches in these things. The problem is the puts are so expensive, it's hard for them to even double. I mean, the stock was just 43 cents, so even if it was down to 43 cents again, I don't think any of those puts would move. I mean, the 2/2 puts would be worth $2. Maybe they go to $2, $2.10, $2.15. I mean, you can, but I mean, you need the stock to go just literally to zero. So sometimes I think people have to do some of the arithmetic. Now, I remember when always like what the Credit Suisse puts, right? Like people are going to buy these. And they did have a chance to double if the stock went to zero, and it actually did go to zero. It was bought for, didn't UBS just take them over and the equity holders got zero, as I recall? That was one of the ones, I think that might have turned the tide for us on how much you can pay for a put and still reasonably think to make some money.
Well, for us, it was the EDU puts. I think that was the education for us. When it was like $2.50 and like these 2 puts or whatever, 2.5 puts, they're giving us like 50 cents. Yeah. Sold to you, we had no idea what it was. And then we ended up digging out of that one for quite a while. It was an educational process for everyone, I think. We ended up making a decent amount of money on that. But
we definitely made some money on it, but it was China, you just can't do online education anymore. I believe that was the problem.
Yeah, that has turned off the entire sector overnight, pretty much.
Right. I mean, the U.S., as much as we criticize our government, they haven't turned off entire sectors overnight yet. I'm not going to put it by, depending which administration's in. But thankfully, there are some laws you do have to circumvent in order to do that somehow. So, but anyway.
The stock was around this price, too. The ADU is around 250, 265. So this is giving me some.
I think we were selling like the 2s or even the 1.
I think it was the 2s for around 50, something stupid.
Yeah, it was, like the company still had revenue. It's just, it was not as much as they used to have.
So apparently, the market listeners is saying, it's rallying today, but someone's rolling calls. So not everybody, but a large swath of people are thinking Wolf is going the way of the dodo by the end of October and putting a large amount of capital to work to do that. Wow. Let's do one more, and then we'll get to the Uncleist of Mice because he's champing at the bit here on the Monday show. Let's get out to a newcomer. This is Rumble Inc., ticker symbol RUM. RUM. You want to drink some rum? Or I guess go to Rumble. I do believe this is the, shall we say, conservative video streaming platform. Ticker symbol RUM, 760, up about 30 cents or about 4% today. Yeah, I don't think we've ever really talked about this one. Was trading 565 a year ago, so they're having a good year, up about 35%. They did pop hard. I mean, again, this is associated with a certain area of the political spectrum, so you might imagine they did all right post-election, and that was the case. They rallied all the way up to about $17.40. Weirdly enough, the day after Christmas, December 26th, was the apex for them, and then they kind of never looked back. They got up to $17.40, and then if you bought it then, your Christmas gift was a whole heck of a lot of red, because they sold off to about $10 by the second week of January, and they've been kind of slowly drifting downward ever since. Popping a little bit again today and popping about 21 cents over the past week. As far as I could see, more buyers than sellers. And apparently, obviously, the tragic news of the murder last week of that political commentator. And looks like they're adding some of his shows. So apparently that's what's rallying. I don't know. I mean, more buyers than sellers at the end of the day. But let's get out there to what is lighting up our tape and what caught our eye of Sauron today in RUM. And looks like somebody came in this morning with the stock right about here, 753, so pretty darn close to where it is right now. And they said, Step 8s, how are they? So again, this is a weekly play. These are obviously going the way of the dodo on Friday. Step 8s, how are they? $0.50 out of the money. Normally in this stock that can't get out of its own way this year, you would say sold to you on those. They got a dime at 15 cents. They said, I will pay 15 cents, good sir. 4,639 times. Then they came back, did some more after that. Different name, though. A different strike, I should say. Then they came back and said Step 8s expiring on the 26th, so buying themselves an extra week. How are those bad boys? They got 15 cents at a quarter. They said, I will pay a quarter, 1,265 times. All this going up in the span of about a minute. So it seems like it's related paper. Not a time spread or anything like that. It seems like paper just kind of lifting offers on all the 8s they can get their hands on right now out there in good old RUM or Rumblefish or whatever you want to call this name. Looks like a total of 6,600 of the regular 8s have traded today and about a little over 2,000 of the 8s expiring on the 26th out there. So interesting paper. The 9s also expiring this week, going up today on nearly 2,000 times. And about 1,300 of the nines in October. So, Mr. Rock Lobster, somebody wants to drink some rum over the coming week or two, and they're willing to pay for the privilege, sir.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Yeah, I think it's probably some kind of, a little conservative sway coming from the tragedy here that happened. But this stock seems to go in and out in politics. Again, the fight to dethrone YouTube is it is a long one, and Twitter has a better chance than Rumble. But
that fight's done. We were just talking about Vimeo last week on the show. I had forgotten about that platform. Somebody was putting up size in that one last week as well. But I think that fight is over.
It's a pretty platform. It's still,
Yeah, Vimeo was going to be the one that was going to dethrone YouTube, especially for corporate players, and it never got the network effect it needed.
No, but it's hard to. I guess people are just used to. It's like one of those. It's like, I think sometimes like changing your bank account. How many times you change your checking account in a year? Like never. I got to go to the bank and change my checking account. So it feels like sometimes the social media is a little bit like that. However, I think these calls have they have a shot. And I believe they're up already for the day. But my guess is probably this news will start to wane somewhat, and then I don't know if those calls are going to pay. Yeah, they're 2025, so day one they're up money, and they could easily pop, but it probably won't last long enough until they start generating. Now they are starting to generate some revenue. I just looked. The yearly revenue for them is. Yeah, like they're almost $100 million a year in revs. So it can happen, right? It'll be a while, but at least these calls have a shot. I think they have a shot just because they're not very expensive. And they got a shot. Would I buy them? No. No.
A long way around to saying, I don't want that garbage. As we keep on rolling into a little bit, I don't think it's going to be garbage. It never is. Let's find out. It's the strategy block.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the strategy block.
All right, listeners, it's Monday. Time to welcome on Uncle Mike. He has finally recovered from forgetting the name of his childhood pinup idol known as Mae West. Mr. Uncle Mike, sir, what you got in store for us this week?
Mae West is a little before my time. But anyway.
It's before the Rock Lobster's time. That's when it's telling you something.
Yeah, that's something else. So I want to talk today is something that exists, something that we really don't talk about that much on the show, and something to consider if you are concerned about rates this week. So, for example, let's say that you're concerned that the Fed is going to not do anything, and you think that the price of bonds is going to go up or down. Now, first off, what you need to have a consideration of before you do this is it's not about what you think the Fed is going to do. It's about how do you think the bond market is going to react to what the Fed is going to do. So let's say that theoretically the Fed decided to raise rates 200 basis points. Well, if that happened, that would just be all-time craziness. I don't know what would happen, but let's just say that they did. If that would be the case, that's very likely that on the spot, the bonds would just go sink like a rock, most likely, and stocks for that matter. If you're concerned with that, one thing with which you can do is you could buy put options. Now, of course, you can do them with futures options. We talk about whenever I'm on TWIFO, we always like to talk about jumping on the boat with the 10-year note or get a thrill with the 2-year bill, something like that. But anyway, if you don't want to go in the futures options realm, you can look at IEF, which is the ETF that tracks the 7 to 10-year government treasuries. Or if you wanted to do it, you could look at TLT. TLT is a little bit more volatile. That tracks a longer term treasury bond of 20 plus years. But either way, if you have a sentiment on how the bond market is going to react to how the Fed does whatever it is they're going to do, then you can buy calls or puts on or set up any type of option strategy we talk about on this show with it. Now, the final point that I want to just reemphasize is that it doesn't matter if the Fed raises rates or lowers rates. It matters as to how the bond market will react to what the Fed does. It's very possible that the Fed could raise rates and the price of bonds could go higher because maybe the market feels that was already factored in. You never know. You may not get the reaction from the bond market that you're looking for, but you at least have the ability to do some type of hedging or speculation on bonds in addition to stocks. And that's the strategy block for Fed Week.
All right, and now let's keep on rolling and go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're keeping an eye on for the rest of the week until we come back on Thursday. I also said at the top of the show I'd come back and tell you how things are shaping up. And we are shaping up almost exactly the way we were at the start of the show. VIX right around 1555 again, so pretty close to where it was at the start of the show. The SPX up about 4/10, almost 0.45, so up slightly. The NASDAQ up about 0.85%, so again, up slightly. The Dow up about 0.1%, so again, up slightly, but for the most part, all the same. VVIX, like I said at the top of the show, not rallying. VVIX still hanging out 97, so VVIX even unched on the show. So a whole heck of a lot of nothing on that front. But what we do have waiting for you right now is a fun question of the week. One, surprisingly enough, I don't think we've ever really asked before in the long history of our network. We said, hey, there's a lot of new players entering the options market these days, so we thought it was a good time to ask, quite simply, how long have you been trading options? Gave you 1 year, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, or north of 5 years. And not surprisingly for our audience, the lion's share, nearly 2/3, 64.3% saying north of 5 years. That's what we expect. We got a lot of hardcores, a lot of seasoned vets in our audience. But interestingly, this is, again, why we posted this poll. Right now, it just went live right before showtime, so it's only been live about an hour. But as of right now, 21.4%. So the clear number two, less than a year. Again, a lot of new people flocking into the options market these days. One of the reasons why Options Bootcamp continues to light it up. Then we have a tie, about 7% each for 1 to 3 years and 3 to 5 years. Where do you fall on that spectrum, listeners? Get over there, add options, and make your voice heard. Mr. Rock Lobster, are you surprised that nearly 25% of our audience has been trading options less than a year? And what are you keeping an eye on through the rest of the week, obviously including our friend, Mr. Powell?
I was at 25% of your audience?
Close to it, about 21.5%.
Wow. Oh, okay. I tell them I wish them luck. I'm trying to, I don't even know what my life was like before I started trading options. I'm starting to count now.
I know, you were looking at your May West pinup.
I know, that was the last time I think I didn't trade an option, maybe 35 years ago. I'm almost on 30 years, 36 now. So, but also for all the new people, the most important thing is learn how to allocate. Learn how to allocate to trade, or your account will go away and you'll have to start again. Just be mindful of that. The second part is, I think we're waiting for the Fed. We're sitting here. It's still a bull market. It's a low volatility bull market, although VIX has not been able to put in zone one. There's no zone of the monk. We haven't said zone of the monk in a year. So I think that people are just waiting. And I think the best shot we have is the Fed telegraphing, okay, we'll do 25 basis points every 3 months and see how it goes. And I think the market would be quite happy with that. That's how you get to the zone of the monk. You got to have you have to have some certainty somewhere. And that's how vol gets lower. So again, I'm waiting for that, but again, it wouldn't surprise me if we see new highs in the market by the end of the week. It's probably more likely than not.
Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on? And of course, the obvious, the big dog.
Well, first off, I just Googled Mae West, and she had a lot of really interesting sayings. Do that. It'll be entertaining for 2 minutes. When she's good, but when she's bad, she's better, she says. But anyway.
Uncle Mike's new favorite, Mae West.
Yes. So besides looking up Mae West quotes, of course we're at all-time highs. We didn't technically I didn't feel comfortable saying my thing today, but I could have maybe weaseled it in, but it wasn't powerful enough for me to want to do it. So anyway, watching how the metals react to the Fed as well.
All right, everybody, that music means we have come to the end of another journey through the world of all things options. Don't worry if you want more journey in your life, though. I'll be back in a little bit. Our good buddy, Mr. Greg, coming back on Crypto Rundown. He's having so much fun talking to you folks about all things crypto vol. And spoiler alert, there's a lot going on out there. He's dying to come back and do it again, so we'll have him on again in a little bit on the Crypto Rundown if you're hanging out in the Pro. I see you talking about Mara puts right now there in the Pro. Yeah, we'll probably talk about some of that fun. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro. TheOptionsInsider.com is the place to go if you want to get in the live. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro. And Uncle Mike, if they want to go get some more Uncle Mike goodness, or perhaps just sit on the phone for hours reminiscing about the glory days of Mae West, where should they go? What should they do?
The golden age of Hollywood. Go to my website, stcharleswealth.com. Book an appointment with me. Would love to have a conversation with anyone with regard to derivative options, financial planning, professional wrestling, or now, obscure Mae West quotes.
You're going to be going down that rabbit hole. You're going to come back on Thursday just overflowing with Mae West quotes, I think. I like it. Check them out, stcharleswealth.com. Make sure you're checking out our friend over there at the land of the pit as well. Optionpit.com is the place to go. And, of course, tastytrade.com/podcasts. If you want to thank those folks for coming in and keeping all these shows flowing at you throughout the week, you know where to go. tastytrade.com/podcast. Back again in a little bit to talk all the wild world of crypto. Then we're back one final time to wrap it all up for the week with our old pal Thor Odinson, a.k.a. the Hot Options Report. Then we'll see you back here tomorrow. Rise of yet another new show on the network, the return of the European Market Brief, and then all sorts of fun all the way through to Thursday, where the Flowmaster comes back for episode 2 of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network, the home of the Options Podcast. For more quality options programs, visit theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app available in the iTunes and Google Play stores. Select programs are also available via live stream at mixlr.com/options-insider. That's mixlr.com/options-insider. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, stocktwits.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions at theoptionsinsider.com.